a scream. Ugh, he thought. If I lose my grants, I'll have to go back there and live with her. His grandmother was the only member of his family still alive. If life was an attribute a scientist could truthfully ascribe to the shrunken, leathery old gargoyle, Clem had not communicated with her for years, not since the day the acceptance letter had arrived. He tried to find an iota of savor left in that single moment of triumph, but found the memory as dry and desiccated as the mold covering the pages of the ancient volumes that surrounded him. After being accepted, unfortunately, Clem had learned two profound things about himself. One, he didn't like to work, and two, he had a talent for slipping between cracks. For almost 4 years he had exploited the system and learned to exploit his invisibility, though in the back of his mind he had always known that someday the dearth of measurable progress would come back to haunt him. Sooner or later, he knew, the powers that be would notice that the grant and scholarship checks were going in one end of the machine, but that nothing useful was coming out the other. The odd thing was that some part of him had truly wanted to work, to try to live up to all his unlimited potential. But then there was this other part of him, the more persuasive and powerful part, that took a simple delight in wandering the stacks like a goat in a grassy meadow, grazing on whatever random bits of knowledge fell under his glassy gaze. Clem was quite sure he knew things, important things, about a wide array of anomalous and seemingly unrelated lore. He sensed that his knowledge was all significant and would someday lift him above the common drudges who struggled so arduously to finish papers, impress their professors, and get good grades. In the pit of his soul, Clem knew he was destined for greater things. The problem was that academic institutions tended to want a very specific and tangible proof of greatness, the exact kind Clem did not possess. He had to come up with something soon, very soon, or they would ask him to pack up his meager belongings and shove him out the door into the incomprehensible, unforgiving... Click. The timer on the lights ran down and the world disappeared. Clem did not curse the darkness, that wasn't his style, but he suddenly became aware that the 64-ounce Diet Cola he had recently finished was sloshing around in his nether regions. He patted his pockets, found the LED torch he carried on his keychain, and flicked the switch. This time he did curse the darkness, as the damn thing flickered once and blinked off. Rising slowly, pins and needles pricking him under his skin, Clem muttered a few choice imprecations and took a cautious step toward where he believed the light switch would be. Something crinkled underfoot, and he realized he had just stepped on the wadded-up ladder. Good, he sneered and took another tentative step. He had expected to find a wall and was confused when all he found was empty air. Wonderful, he muttered, and was surprised to hear a small crack in his voice. Clem didn't think of himself as superstitious or phobic, and generally took pride in what he considered to be an unflappable nature. But somehow the darkness seemed more palpable than what he was accustomed to. This darkness, he thought, has texture. He shook his head, took another half step forward, and this time his searching hands found something familiar. A bookshelf. Clem frowned, annoyed. Somehow he had gotten himself completely turned around. Instead of finding the wall with the light switch, he was staggering deeper into the stacks. Just above his head he heard a sharp ringing sound, a thunk that sent a quivering shiver down his spine and made him take a single unplanned step backward. His foot caught on the edge of what must have been an oversized book, and Clem's knee buckled, sending him tumbling into the shelf. He pawed helplessly at the precariously balanced volumes, but they tumbled to the floor and crashed into his bony shins, sending jolts of pain up his spine. Surrendering to the inevitable, Clem fell forward under the hailstorm of archaic information, all the time trying and failing to protect his face with his forearms. A couple more largest tomes thumped down onto his neck as the headline for tomorrow's student newspaper flashed through his mind. Scholar's career cut short in tragic library mishap. The idea held so much appeal for Clem that he found himself wishing for that last book. Something really big and comprehensive with extra weighty color plates, to come crashing down and provide him with a simple solution to his problem. Unfortunately, fate was not so kind, and so Stanislaw Klemp lay there for several long minutes, the unappetizing options not just for the immediate future, but for the rest of his life, slogging through his mind. The idea that death was the solution retreated, and another one took shape. None of this, he decided, was his fault. The world